Cool. Small gap in the market. Frankly, the market, even when the market's been flat, the market's been very bullish. I wouldn't read too much into the individual indexes right now. We're kind of flipping into a spot where even when the indexes are getting a little bit dumped on, you're starting to get a little bit of some speculation kind of money coming in. You can see like there's so many stocks moving around right now. So I don't believe at the moment like we have to be too apprehensive. I think we're in a good spot here, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Let's get into the watch list over here. I think the CCIV is going to be red hot at its first big up day in quite some time. We had its first big up day in quite some time. You can see here, like you got this nice kind of movement over here. We've got a big base. You know, in general, like when you have a market that's starting to return back to a little bit of flavor, you want to be looking for stocks that got like really nice big bases. Hey, Mr. Dave, how are you? I think this one's got a chance here. We had day one yesterday. We're already at yesterday's highs. Now it's a 3% gap up. CCIV in general always trades like shit if you chase it. So you do have to be a little bit careful. You do have to be a little bit careful on how you enter this thing, but otherwise, that's a good looking stock. I think that's like probably my favorite for today. Play number 2, I think we roll with Skills. Skills they got some acquisition today. Who knows if it means anything? But you've got a good nice range break that's setting up here. This is another one that's got a big base on it. I think that it's going to have a chance. Now, I won't chase you don't want to really chase like a, 5% gap on it, but I think it's going to have a good chance on it. So let's add that as, a number 2 potential play. Can for a day 2. Can had its earnings out. It had a big squeeze on it. They actually posted a net profit somehow. So you had a really nice squeeze. This is a beaten down name, $40, right? You've kind of rounded this thing out. Yeah, I think you got kind of like that $11.50, $12 magnet on this before you got to really make a decision on how big of a turd it is. But like it's got into that range over here, and you can see like you got kind of all these other little turds flying around. AMC, BB, MVIS, like a shit. It looks like a shitty radio station. You got things flying around today, so you're gonna have some definitely action on some of this stuff. Whether it's MVIS or the BB. Man, this BB moves so slowly. It's like watching your grandma polka dance. Like it just don't have that. It don't have that. It's a grinder, but some of you guys like grinders, so that's fine. Just not my particular flavor here. I mean, you can see like this thing is still probably got a little bit of room, but man, this is the devil stock. I got this on my ban list. Every time I hit this thing, man, the spread just, what the problem with this one is you just can't oversize it. The spread on it is so big, like even when it's like really moving around, I hate that spread. And so probably for me that's a ban list. But the other problem is the ones with no spread like BB, they move too fucking slow. So you're really in like a whole fucking sweet spot of suck because, when you have no spread, they move too slow. And when they have too big of a spread, they freak you out a little bit. So, I'd probably stay away from these today. The MVIS does move really well, though. You can see here, like MVIS had some big range yesterday, and it's just starting to get going over here, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing start to kind of launch patrol also. I think that this one's going to have probably the best combination of not annoying the shit out of you because of the grind, but also like not too big of a crazy spread. So I would add that to the gapper list. I think that's probably going to be a nice one to trade. You can add BB if you want also. Now, one thing to be just mindful of is that probably this AMC rug pulls today at some point, 5, 6, 10 points. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, your 9 EMA on this is like $25. What usually happens when you get these rubber band setups, which means like these, like, you know, kind of parabolic short setups, is they never die like in a linear manner. Meaning, like, okay, you're gonna have this gap up. It'll probably power push at some point, and then it'll just drop like $7, $8, $10 out of nowhere. And then the first time it does that, you know, it'll look like it's like just the end of it, and then it'll get scooped back up and then like re-spiked. And then it's, so if you're holding your short too long, or you try to short the mini spike on it thinking that's the permanent rollover, it ends up grinding you back. And then kind of like when you're not looking and it looks like it's going to break out, then they drop it. And that's, you know, that's usually how these things go. So when you have like something like this that looks like kind of like a short, you have to be really mindful of like your locations and your position sizing. They never happen in a linear manner where it's like, oh, like they just drop and then they trend down all day. It really won't happen because there's just too many buyers and too much momentum. You really have to kind of grind them all out before you kind of get like that big, you know, pump down. I don't anticipate myself trading this today, but you know, you never know. You never know. Sometime I may whip out my superhero hat for the day, but otherwise I'm looking just for easy play. You know, like see something like this is a nice easy play. You got a big base on this, third tap, fourth tap on the resistance level. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 taps on the resistance level. You got a big gap fill here to like 17. To me, that seems like a much easier type of play if this thing sets up. They have earnings out today. I mean, that to me is hot to trot. 750,000 shares of volume pre-market. If it holds this level here, and you start filling some of that gap, this is going to have a chance to go. Hey, Blizzy, by the way, I don't know if you're in or not or doing your work. That was a nice heads up on that Dodge yesterday on the Coinbase listing. So I would add RLX. Skills we talked about, nice base. BTX is right at the sweet spot. I think where you got to probably go with this is, so you're at 2 levels here. So, you know, kind of like maybe 1825-ish. 1825-ish, I think would be a good spot. Now, we have like, as BTX has just been like more of a grinder of these, it has been a little bit trickier to trade, but it seems like it's still tricky to trade, but it seems like at least once in a while it holds some of its pops. I keep an eye on this 1825, 18 zone. If you break and hold and kind of build over it, right? You start to build over it, then I think that's going to give it a longer term push into, you know, kind of some of these old levels that maybe, I mean, I wouldn't even call these heavy resistance, right? But just some of these older levels that may, you know, that you're going to run into like nonstop. Yeah, I would keep it. I think this can moves. You know, the one thing with cans, when it moves, it never moves that good on the short side, but on the long side, it does have like, whenever it moves, it does move well. I do like the overall look of that. So I would add that in. Riot is another one. Like, so these are all Bitcoin stocks. You know, Bitcoin's probably bottomed out for the most part. I mean, it may have one more dump in it somewhere, but yeah, for the most part, it's probably evened out some of its selling. You're starting to build out a little bit of a base. You can see this Riot's just got a big spot on this. I think that this and can, these are going to have, these are also what we call like bottoming patterns or base breakouts, which are tougher trades because they're not pure trend trades. Trend trades are the easiest trades you can do, right? Trend trades are like, okay, the stock is so hot that every time you buy it, anytime it dips, you just buy it, and then even if you don't have good risk management or entries, it works out. Mr. Mugatu, that's really what you should trade. Because you like to hold some of those things past what you want. If you were focusing on trends, then if you end up holding too long, then it works out. But if you do that on stocks that are stuck in range, then you end up kind of like burning your mental capital. But like if you have a big trend, it can kind of it can hold you out an extra couple hours. If you want a little bit longer hold time on them. These are a little bit more tricky, but what happens that's good about base breakouts is that, if they can break and then make a higher high, higher low, what you want to be doing is, thinking it may start to trend. Which one is that, Airballs? Oh, yeah. All in, baby. Okay. Yeah, leave probably once. I'll keep an eye on this for you. I think this thing drops one more time, and then we're going to get a nice snapback on it. But it's not an easy trader. This is not right, like, because you're going counter trend. So I'll watch that one. I think you guys take that off your list. That's a little... That might just waste mental capital for you guys. Yeah, put the cat chunk. Hey, all these EVs are still flagging. They're just moving so slow that they make it very hard to trade. Now, ZM had earnings. Yeah, this ZM has earnings out. We don't have any reaction yet, but it is like, it does have like a longer term kind of level that's formed. You know what this reminds me of? What was the earnings stock we traded the other day? Right, Snow? So like Snow did this to us a couple days ago. If it tanked at the open on earnings, and then, the market was really hot for tech, and ended up scooping up and giving us a really nice range. And the main thing was because it had such a big kind of level, in range that it had been in. So, the morning dip got handled up really well, and then it propelled itself back forward. So if we see like some kind of like morning push down, like maybe you get like just like a little pop down here into like 325 or 322 or 317, somewhere in here, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing get bought back up, because you're not getting any reaction right now anyways. And people are, like, you're seeing in the market right now, like what's happening is, as the market is starting to even out, you're starting to get flow into all the stocks that have been like really beaten down. So you're starting to see like these kind of names really start to get picked up. So like that's how it could be ZM or like a CCIV or right, like this Fubo. Like there's a lot of these kind of beaten down names that are building that big base, and as the market starts to heal itself, those are the ones that are starting to get picked up. I like it. I like some of these on the overall look. So I think ZM, well, this will be a little bit more of a read and react play. And what I mean by read and react play is, we're going to either it's going to take out this range. Either it's going to take out this range, and we got kind of semi-chase it up a little bit, maybe 338, 337. Or if it dumps back down into support, we'll try to scoop it back up and pull a Snow on it and see what goes down. But it's got a good overall, it's got a better overall market to it, I'd still keep Airbnb on the list. This is another kind of bottoming pattern. These are the ones that we really want to stick with right now. Because first of all, the only stocks that are like really in big uptrends are like oil stocks, and oil stocks are the worst to day trade. mostly due to the fact that, right, the oil stocks move. They move when, on gaps. They move on gaps mostly. So like an oil stock, you may look at it and be like, holy shit, this stock is up like, 50% in the last few days. But most of the time, like, it's more on a gap versus like intraday action. So you can see like this CPE or CLR, this is a beauty. I mean, this is a swing trade setup, meaning this is something you would hold for multiple days. But you see like beyond the original push, it's not necessarily, right, like a day trader. So oftentimes you can have really hot charts, but they're just not good for day trading. And then you can have, what's the proper terminology? Unhot charts, but they might be better for day trading because they've got range. And even though you got to dance around some booby traps because they're not trending, and so you got to kind of dance around all the different support and resistance levels, they can be better traders. And we've got quite a few of those kind of stocks, right, that we trade over, the years that just have really good range, but they might just have, died out a little bit. Now let's go back in. We just want to add a couple, Momo stocks here. I think that if this Roblox, if you notice, like every time it dips back down $3-4 into supports, like it gets bought up, it's really a sign of a strong stock. Like anytime it dips, it just gets bought up. I still think we want to keep hitting this ones. I think we still want to keep hitting this ones, especially on pullbacks. I mean, it's really the strongest. I mean, it's the strongest stock in the market that's like not a, meme proper term, memer. It's not a memer stock or whatever, so I think that one's still got it's got the trend on it that we need. Hey, this ANVS had a big push into the close yesterday. So if you see about $47, it ran to 59. We may have it. So I think the high was about 59. And you got a red to green spot over here. Good. I think this is also something like we need to definitely be hitting on. It's got a good range. The issue on this one will be obviously the spread on this one will be fucking bigger than cost, which is the biggest monster cock spread around. So we do have to be just slightly careful when we roll with this, but it'll be okay. Like it's got a good enough spot on it to keep it going. So we got AMVS. It's natural to have your watch list like a million names in this type of market. What you probably want to do is just like if you have like something that you think is a good setup, but you're like, I'm not going to really trade it. Probably like this open, right? Like the range on this has gone to shit. Like it's 80 cents. So like most likely, like I'm not going to probably trade this thing. So like what you do is just, set an alert if it breaks out. On your TC 2000, you take it off your list, so you're not even looking at it. And that way, like, you can kind of go in. So, like, something like this FANG. Like, this is probably more of an IRA swing trade kind of, it's a longer term setup, right? So, like, I don't need to put that on my, my right now list. I add it to, like, a different list. That way you don't have to stare at it and get into... get into all the stuff that's going down. Hey, Bull One, I'm not sure on BYND. I mean, I had a couple nice down days. It's probably got a little bit more room to fall. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't discount it. I wouldn't get too heavy on the short side on it because it did have a big nasty trend day yesterday. But I do think it's probably got room to fall if it breaks under yesterday's lows. Yeah, a lot of these oil stocks are good, but they're just more swing traders. Like this is a nice breakout. CLR is a nice breakout. SM is a really nice breakout. But like you just can't, if you can't day trade them, right? Just take them off your list. Put them on a different list. So So I always ask yourself, am I really going to trade this today? If you're not, then just take it off the list. Yo, this SoFi, though, is a heater. I think probably we got to play this for the next few days. I think this SoFi is probably a heater. You probably see this thing back up into the 28s over time. All right, let's just get back. Linda, never heard of Linda. Let's see. Linda. I don't know if this one has the liquidity we need. Only 400,000 shares in volume, Mr. Dave. It's only about 400,000 shares in volume. So I'm not sure that's really... it's going to be very playable for you. Thank you. Junk. One last one to add. Right, PDD had a monster squeeze on it. It is gapping down. Let's see if we go red to green on this. I think PDD is going to be okay. SQ looks fine too. I think probably that's due for it was probably due for a move today too. You kind of flagging out over here. Looks pretty good. I would roll with it. Skills, MVIS, RLX, probably the favorite gappers. I think you can trade your Mimi thingies if you want, but I would be very, very aware that this thing is due for a rug pull. I mean, and it could be a nasty one. I don't anticipate doing it unless I'm coming in hot on the short. I mean, I can't long something that's, I can't long this thing up here. Now, my guess is that the fucking margin rates on AMC are going to be a dick, meaning like, if you have a $100,000 account, they're going to let you do like 200 shares. That's how it was last time it was ready to collapse. They didn't want us to have any fun on it. Where like a stock like, say, Peloton, right? They give you like four times margin. What they'll do is be the opposite on something like AMC. So that's a list. Dun, 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 dun. AI, skills, MVIS. I think we got a nice sweet spot here. We want to look for those red to greens, right? So like PDD, AI, ANVIS. These could be potential red to greens. And we got ZM as a potential earnings play. And then we have our bottoming patterns, right? So we got 3 buckets today, right? You have your bottoming patterns. Your bottoming patterns are your A, B, and B, FUBO, CCIV, JMIA. We got our day 2 plays for potential red to greens. You got your PDDs, your AI, your ANVS. Then you've got your earnings plays. That's your skills, RLX, ZM. Those are your 3 buckets. And then you got your daily traders, right? Your daily traders are stocks like UPST, Peloton, Tiger, things that we've been trading, nonstop for months. Roblox would be considered, right, a daily trader. So that's where we want to put our action. 3 buckets, nothing more. And then, of course, we just got some random stuff that, we keep on our list in case they ever heat up. But I'd start terrorizing your watch list and get rid of, whatever it is that you just think holds you back. Good. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. That's the list. And we're sticking to it. Adios, muchachos. Let's do this.